This is a film we produced over the summer of our building an oyster reef in June. It's about a little over 6 minutes long, and it'll give you an overview of the whole process. And then the rest of the presentation will put a lot more detail to each section, each part.
On the east end of Long Island, New York, in the town of East Hampton, concerned residents have come together to fight for the health of local waters. The East Hampton Shellfish Hatchery staff, supported by South Fork Sea Farmers, have expanded their shellfish enhancement efforts to include building oyster reefs.
People always thought fish, clams, they were limitless. And they'll always be there. But we never anticipated the population density we now have, not only in East Hampton, but on Earth in general.
If you can imagine what this area was like way back when before it became a real tourist haven, there were people really living off the land, shellfishing, clamming, oystering, bay scalloping. And then that brown tide came through in the 80s and virtually wiped it out. So the current state of our bays, ever since the eradication of the eelgrass in the mid-'80s, is really a desert bottom.
I remember first coming here and thinking, oh, this is great because it was so clean on the bottom. And then the more I understood, the more I was like, no, the bottom's a desert here.
So the East Hampton Shellfish Hatchery was established after that brown tide in the 1980s to try and restore local shellfish stocks. And in 2016, we started our oyster gardening program and then founded South Fork Sea Farmers shortly after in an effort to enhance our educational and volunteer programs.
Maybe we could do more to actually bring the ecosystem back. Because in Chesapeake Bay, they're establishing oyster reefs everywhere to try to bring that ecosystem back, which was one of the most lucrative oyster nurseries in the world. So that got me discussing with Barley what the possibilities were, and when I first brought it up, his reaction was, I've always wanted to do that. So I said, okay, let's do that.
So in recent years, we've started to develop oyster reefs, which is another way to replace habitat, get more oysters out into the bottom. So we create about 300 of these shell bags that are full of shell and also incorporated with spat, baby oysters that are set on the shell, grow those for a period of time, and then we establish these 50 square yard oyster reefs.
If you guys could start doing the perimeter, like one of you just grab your own bucket, start doing the perimeter where you can see, and then we'll try to fill it in the middle with this.
You know, an adult oyster can filter 50 gallons of water a day. So if you multiply that by how many oysters are on a reef, that's a lot of water cleansing naturally without any negative impact on the ecosystem.
This reef represents a forest on an otherwise barren bottom. The volunteers are really amazing. They're coming from local high school students that are really passionate about this kind of project.
I got pulled into this internship through my science research class. I like to get my hands wet. I'm not afraid to get scratched or anything.
I'm in 12th grade at East Hampton High School.
I'm in the same program at East Hampton High School. I really like it's like hands-on, like experimental, like research. Like you're not just like sitting at a desk, like reading articles. It's something you can actually do, and it makes a big difference in our community.
And it's nice to see like a direct impact on the environment as well.
My love for the oysters came from growing up on the water. So when this project came around, it was a really exciting opportunity. So I jumped on board.
You got to keep a good pace going, but it's really going a lot slower than I had hoped because we can't see anything.
There's always things that go wrong when we're constructing these reefs. One thing that was particularly challenging was the turbidity in the water.
Because of the nature of the harbor, the ground is very soft. It's a lot of silt and other sediment. When we start moving around and trying to put the bags in, a lot of sediment starts to kick up, and it makes it hard for us to see where we're placing the bags.
A lot of things went right, but one of the things went wrong is there's a ton of like flies and like horse flies and like mosquitoes and stuff. And I put on a bunch of like mosquito repellent and stuff like that, but when I get out of the water, like the horse flies just absolutely destroy me.
The horse flies don't like Henry.
All right, I think we finally hit a decent pattern. It seems to be going pretty fast now. Just keep going. Whatever we're doing lately, we can see a little better.
Yeah, today's reef deployment was really textbook. Amazing crew of volunteers that helped us. We had an amazing daisy chain of folks handing bags off from trailer to boat. Nobody got cold, nobody got cut. Everybody had a good time, a lot of laughs.
Success story on this reef would be coming back in the spring and seeing 2-inch oysters growing out of the mesh. The biodegradable mesh is sloughing off.
So these are creating a multi-dimensional habitat that's already encrusted with oysters, and almost immediately there'll be other things entering that reef as cover. Grass shrimp, nursery fish like blackfish, black sea bass. And as that reef matures, those oysters are going to grow. They're going to filter the water. They're going to hopefully reproduce and produce more oysters either on adjacent reefs or on their own reef. Whether it's rainforests or oyster reefs or getting kids out into the wild areas to learn about nature, there's all kinds of things that can be done with a little bit of passion here and there, and you know, let's face it, a few dollars.
This project is an opportunity to build community, to bring back the ecosystem to its prior pristine nature, and to give a template for other groups to find their passion and do something about it. This is the oyster opportunity.
And also at the end, there were two video interns, Taft and Sophie. Those were two students in the video class at East Hampton High School who helped the crew throughout the process. So they got some real outside of school work also.